Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 10 of the Take 4 podcast. Thank you so much for all the love and support. We've definitely been feeling it. If you're watching this video, click on the button below and subscribe. You will get all the notifications when we post new videos. Please follow us on Instagram. We're also on TikTok. Your support means a lot to us, so please keep giving us that love. Today's topic is a topic on narcissism, and actually more specifically gaslighting within narcissism. And it's a really big topic, and I'm almost quite apprehensive about what we're going to bring to the table today. By no means are me or any of my crew here experts, but we're going to talk about the impact that gaslighting and to an extent narcissism has had in our lives, or not in some cases. So join us. We're going to put some really cool links below. There's a couple of people that I've drawn a lot of inspiration from. Dr. Ramani, Richard Gannon, Dr. Sam Vaknin. These people are experts. And if you feel that anything you hear today resonates with you and it moves something within you, comment. Tell us how you feel. We would love to engage in conversation with you about this. I know personally when I was going through or started my journey on narcissism, I felt very alone, and actually it was comments and reading other people's comments and engaging in conversations with people that really made me feel like I had a voice. So you have that voice here with us today. So I'm going to kick it up. And in a world today where we've got people like the Tinder swindler, Jeffrey Epstein, I'm going to let you do your laugh in a minute, Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein.
A bunch of politicians. We're not going to call everybody out.
How do really intelligent, bright men and women get caught in this trap? How does this cycle of abuse happen and continue to happen for a long time before people step up and say, actually, this happened to me? #MeToo. But #MeToo took a while to become that. And so before we start, gaslighting is a word that's going to be used quite a lot today. And actually, I found out that gaslighting was the word of 2022.
Oh, wow. Really?
It was labeled the word of 2022, and for a reason. But gaslighting has been around for a long time. It's not a new concept. It's not something that someone just invented yesterday. And actually, I also read that gaslighting came from a movie. So there was a movie called Gaslighting, where a woman was being gaslighted by her husband. And that was where the phrase was coined. So do we know? I want to open it up. Do we know?
Mark?
Or tell me.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
We're going in.
We're going in.
Okay.
What is gaslighting?
It's basic for me. Gaslighting is actually. Damn, that's hard, baby.
Gaslighting?
It's hard for me to break it down. Could you help me?
Gaslighting is when somebody tries to convince you in your reality being wrong.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody's trying to take away your experience, your reading of the situation, and impose their way
Could you
on
give
what
me
happened.
An example. Like what would gaslighting look like for an example?
Somebody says something, somebody, even like physical violence, they push you and then they deny that.
You made me do it.
No, not even like they say that you made me do it. So that's a different.
Okay.
There's an element of it.
But it's basically like denying the situation.
Your sense of reality.
So like if you're flirting with somebody and
100% good one.
And you're
like that never happened. Like
Okay.
I will.
gaslight.
Yeah. So it's basically a denial of a person's reality. But actually, in order for someone to gaslight you, they've got to be in some sort of a relationship to you. So they've got to be close enough in order to do that. And through that gaslighting, they completely dismantle you as a human being.
And maintain their power.
They maintain that exactly, and then in the end, you may hear phrases like "you're just being paranoid," when actually you've been seeing certain texts on his phone with another female. Like, but I just want you to trust me.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? There's something wrong with you. You're paranoid. You're insecure.
Yeah.
You're screwing up this relationship with all your trust issues.
Yeah.
When actually it's their behavior that is a red flag, and you're asking questions that are very normal and natural to ask.
Yeah, how do you deal with, like, is it a gaslighter?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Would that be the...
I think that's a phrase,
So-
yeah.
How do you think you can deal with a gaslighter?
I mean, that's a brilliant question.
Punch him in the throat. I'm joking.
As
Joking.
well. As well.
Joking. Don't, guys. Okay. Don't punch anyone in the throat. Okay. And if you do, don't tell them that I told you to do so.
Also come to his class. Learn how to punch them in the throat.
There might be consequences, so you might want to be prepared for those consequences. Krav Maga will do it for you.
Yeah.
You may feel like punching him in the throat.
Yeah. You will often feel like punching them in the throat.
More importantly, don't tell them that I told you. That's the key here.
Gaslighting.
But coming back to
Coming back to your question.
How do we deal with that person? What tools we can use?
Yeah, so ultimately, what a person does is they dismantle your sense of self-worth. And so you must keep very true to yourself. You need to, oftentimes, if you find yourself having to reread a message or refer to a message or record a conversation, I was once in a relationship where I would just replay voice notes to him and be like, you said this to me. So I think the most important thing would be to make sure that you are true to yourself and you keep listening to your own voice and not allow this person to continue speaking that into you.
Remember that, Mark. Be
It's-
true. Like when you're facing that person, hold your ground.
100%.
Know who you are.
Yeah, no, and that's really important. And also it's really important to have a group of friends. So a couple years ago, the whole reason that this word narcissism even came up in my dictionary, or in my vocabulary, was because I found myself Googling certain things that I was feeling because I felt like I was losing the plot. So I was in a relationship where gaslighting was peaking.
Full steam ahead.
And I really felt like I was losing the plot. I felt like I was going crazy, and I was in a very, very dark place.
That must be really hard to deal with.
It was horrific, and I felt like I was a shell. And first thing I did was turn to the person I was in a relationship with and said, this is how I feel. Of course, when you tell someone who is doing that to you, this is sort of fuel to the fire, and they love it, and they know exactly what more of they need to do.
Fell into their trap card.
Exactly. But what was really important at that point is once you start getting a voice to this and you start understanding that you're not crazy, friendship, people in your life that are outside of this relationship are really important. And I had friends who constantly spoke truth into me, into my life. And it took me a couple of years to get out of this relationship. And actually, it's so funny because a lot of times when I look back at that time in my life, I think, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
What was I doing? Because I can see it so clearly today. But actually, the whole premise of narcissism and how you enter into these relationships and get trapped is incredible.
But don't be too hard on yourself because, again, I think when you're in a situation, you're in a situation.
Yeah.
So you're kind of focused on the wrong things, so to speak. I think when you kind of take an impartial look from the outside going in, it's easy to kind of see stuff. But again, that's what the friends are for, because they're there.
And as a side note, I feel like quite often whenever we get into relationships, we pull back from our friendships, and quite often we get so much feedback and so much kind of reality check from our friends that can see
the outside perspective,
what's happening,
view.
Third person view, and they quite often see the situation much clearer than you was being in it.
Correct.
And I think it's like so important, even though you're in a relationship, you maintain your friends and you actually, allow your friends into your relationship in a sense, like where they do see you together as a couple when they have the opportunity to spend time with you.
I mean, these days, I wouldn't consider anyone serious unless my friends get on with them.
Yeah.
That's a
And you always said that.
Yeah,
you always check
100%.
on the relationships, the friendships,
100%.
around everything.
Yeah, and how they respond to that. Like, I pay close attention to that because, ultimately they're the ones that are going to be, there for you. And
when things don't work out, potentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also they call it, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
a couple of years ago, I had friends pull me up and say, this is not a nice person. And this person treats you this way. Or I feel like, and I think a couple of times you said this to me, was your behavior changes when you're around them.
Yes.
And that's not my friend Cav. Like, that's not who I'm viewing in the room in this situation. And don't get me wrong, like, it all started really well. No one intends to be in a relationship with, if you knew at the beginning this is a narcissist,
of course,
and they're gonna suck my soul away from
you would
me.
be hitting the
You would never do it. But that's how a person sort of falls into this trap, is because that person. So my point here being is, if you are in a relationship with a narcissist or have had a narcissistic relationship, don't be so hard on yourself. I was. But actually, ultimately, it's not your fault. And the whole concept behind a narcissist is to draw you in. The cycles of narcissism are so intriguing and exciting. They start off with the love bomb. So in my case, it was gifts and...
But, sorry, just to start off, though, like, they attract certain type of people.
Exactly. It's an empath, mostly. So when a narcissist...
What is a narcissist? Exactly.
Okay.
Because we went over gaslighting.
That's a great
let's
question.
define it.
Can I say one thing before we get over what narcissist is and all that?
Yeah.
Guys, if you have any tactics or perhaps some advice on how you would deal with a gaslighter, hey, go to the comment, type it up. Yeah, and let us know, because we would love your feedback as well.
Yeah, you might be able to help someone.
You guys are friends and family to us, so we invite you in. But let's get back to narcissism. What is that?
Yeah. So a narcissist is essentially a person who lacks empathy. They're entitled. They're superficial. There's a chronic seeking out of attention, validation from external sources. Often they look like the life and soul of a party. Sometimes they present as a little bit depressed and down and out, that's called a covert narcissist, almost like an Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Interesting.
I would not go with that.
No, but and it's interesting because
it will attract the empath.
Because you want to nurture them.
It's like, oh, you look like you're a bit down, and then they draw you in with that, and it looks like I'm helping them out, and
poor person.
Then they stick the knife in.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus
and
Christ.
actually, they might be, because there's two types of narcissists. There's a covert and there's an overt. An overt is, look at me, get on the tables, get on Oprah, jump on the sofa, be like, I love you, Katie. And then, people, when you tell them, oh, this person's treating me this way, people might turn around and say, what do you mean? They're the nicest person ever. Their vibes are the best. But that's one aspect of it.
And are they always nice? Because I've always had a theory about that. Someone who I see all the time who's just like super, 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 super nice 100% of the time. Like, there's got to be times when, you're pissed off at stuff.
No, they do. So they do have, narcissists are often prone to rage when things don't go their way.
Oh, okay.
So that's also another easy thing to spot. And they sort of love to manipulate, exploit people. But rage is a really good indicator. You try and tell, if you want to try and figure out if someone's a narcissist, tell them you don't want to do something they're asking you to do. Or go against them because they're hypercritical. they're hypersensitive.
In previous relationships, I've been called a narcissist, which I find interesting because like I'm getting a lot of information
From who?
ex-wives.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
Fake news.
And I always felt like I was always a man of integrity, boundaries. You know what I mean? Like I'm very clear in the way that I feel.
Do you think sometimes there's a possibility that someone who might be a narcissist transfers that onto someone else?
Definitely.
Yes.
I also have a slightly different take on it.
Okay.
Certain labels are
Interested.
being misused.
Mm.
People like to label people because it makes them feel better. It makes their behavior excusable because I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z, therefore I can be all of this, you know. So narcissism is like overdiagnosed right now.
You're actually spot on, because the reason that I sort of went through those like 8 things ish, you kind of need to have all of them to be a narcissist. You can't just, the word narcissist, also like gaslighting, has come to the is overused, has come to the forefront. So someone wants to have dinner at 8, you want to have dinner at 9, and you're like, oh, they're such a narcissist. Yeah. They're not. Okay. That's not what
it's
narcissism
like
means.
You could easily say somebody's being selfish or somebody is being inconsiderate. Yeah. And anybody who lacks the nuance will say, oh, they're a narcissist. You know, it's just like, no, they're just being a bit selfish right now. So
2 things, guys. So 1, I'm very secure in myself and who I am, what I stand for, my stance in life. Would I classify as a narcissist?
No.
That's 1.
No, definitely not.
Whoever said that's fake news, bro. Honestly, I can diagnose that.
I personally know that inside, but it's always nice to hear
Listen, we all have narcissistic tendencies and qualities. Sometimes there are certain aspects, like social media. Yeah. We all post photos of ourselves that are
best angles,
that are a bit thirsty.
Filter. Yeah.
And does that make us a narcissist?
Yeah.
No. But maybe you need to question why you post that picture. Maybe it's for the likes. Is it because you're trying to validate how you look? You don't need to.
Second part, Christian Bale on the movie
American Psycho.
Would he classify?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Yes.
So would be
his opening monologue, bro? He tells you everything.
So we're way off. That
Yeah, but look, there's varying degrees. Not everyone needs to be American Psycho, a narcissist.
So that's like deep, heavy.
Yeah, that is
psychosis.
your. Yes, and there is, that level which is like your malignant or toxic narcissist. On the flip side, like the person I dated a while ago, they were the covert, and some say the most dangerous or the vulnerable narcissist who hide. They always look like they're down and out, failure to launch, woe is me. I just, I'm just working on this project. I just, once I get that, it will happen. Or silent treatment. Yeah. Like just, there's varying degrees of it. But to answer your question about whether you're a narcissist.
No, you're not.
Well, after understanding what it is, I know that I'm not.
Yes, and that's why you don't have all the things. And
she might be the narcissist.
Yeah,
she might be deflecting. You just might want to, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But people don't necessarily also get diagnosed as narcissists unless you are actively seeking out help. So unless it's affecting your life or your well-being or your ability to work or function in relationships, you may then be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Okay. Yeah. But as we know, most narcissists don't think there's anything wrong with them.
I don't think, I was about to say, like, I don't think any narcissist would go to... Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't go to therapy. Like, I feel like I have an issue here.
Well, and even if they do, there's so many therapists who... And this happened while I was actually... I wanted to fix the person I was with in order to make that relationship work. Because I had a clear directive in my mind. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. I'd been with this person for 2.5 years, and I felt like it's just wasted time. I can fix this. And every therapist...
Sunk cost.
Let it go. Every therapist I spoke to, every article I researched, they all said we would not even take on a narcissist as a patient because there's no hope. Yeah. This person is actually essentially Heart of Stone. They're the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. There is nothing that exists inside of them. emotions that they experience, or sorry, they don't experience emotions, there's no empathy, but emotions that they display
There's no
to you,
connection to them.
they're all learned behavior.
Yeah, there's no connection. So even if they do cry and stuff like that, it's not actually connected to the moment. It's kind of playing for a certain objective.
Spot on.
Wow,
Spot
that's
on.
dangerous.
And can I tell you something?
That's
so
dangerous.
I'm an actor. I should
I
know.
read
Narcissist.
I read somewhere where it talks about crocodile tears, narcissists crying crocodile tears. So I was like, we use that phrase quite often in this world, but what does it mean? So when I go back and I research, you know, when a crocodile is eating its prey, and you zoom in, or an alligator, and you zoom in close to its face, its tears are coming out of its eyes.
Choking on the food, that's why it's...
Or something. It's like, or maybe it's like a biological response to like digestion. I don't know what it is.
No, but the way I think they don't like chew properly through, like a lot of the digestion happens in the stomach, so they will be in pain swallowing that animal, so it's kind of probably hurting their throat. That's why the tears come out.
Yeah, they're not.
You know, when you choke,
Yeah.
your tears start coming out. So
Yeah.
this is exactly what happens to them, and it's like they kill the prey. They're like swallowing it like in big chunks, and that's the tears, and it kind of transfers onto like the narcissistic.
So it looks like the crocodile's crying, but because it feels sorry for the prey, it doesn't.
It really
feels
can't chew.
nothing.
Yeah.
It just can't chew. But also, if you've seen the
Choking.
Lana Del Rey video, Blue Jeans, and
Yes.
it's so powerful. Like after I did all my research on narcissism, which by the way, once you know, you can't unsee, which is the dangerous thing, because now you go through life and you can see people.
But you probably
everywhere.
don't see narcissists. You're so much more attuned to narcissistic traits in people. So I don't think I feel like if you do your research, it's like if you concentrate on a particular issue, you start seeing this issue everywhere.
Yeah.
If like,
it's like if you're trying to buy a red car,
you'll
notice
just
more
start
red cars.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the same with like narcissism and narcissists. It's like it's not necessarily that there's now all of a sudden all these people in your life who are narcissists and you keep on attracting them. You just spot narcissistic traits, and I feel like if you spend long enough time with these people, you'd realize it's just like a handful of traits.
Yeah.
It's not
actually,
like a clinically diagnosed.
I've got to challenge you a little bit on that because
I love a challenge.
Ding!
Let me
Round
start.
one. Fight!
Listen, if this was a ring, I'd be dead. Have you seen this girl? No, but I have done enough research now, and that's only because this research saved my life.
Okay.
I was in a place where I actually felt like if I continued to feel that way for long enough, I would die in some shape or form. And the research I did was I was clinging on to hope that I wasn't losing the plot. So anyway, I see narcissists because of varying degrees of them. But a narcissist is a narcissist. You don't have a mild version and an accentuated version. If a person is a narcissist, they are that. And normally it's because I'm able to identify more than normally. I think it's more than 6 of the must-haves.
Yeah.
Right? But yes, of course I notice narcissistic traits. I notice those traits sometimes between us when we're communicating with each other. Do I think either of you is a narcissist? No, I don't. But what I'm trying to say is I do spot it now, and it does change my perception of that person. And sadly, I don't want any further relationship with them. It's that black and white for me. But another thing that you had asked earlier was we started alluding to it a little bit, as someone who's an empath, someone who is 100% feel, 100% emotion. I am the best, or an empath in general is a very good source of supply for a narcissist. And so a narcissist, so you might ask when a narcissist walks into a room, they are able to spot an empath from a mile away. And one therapist I was speaking to for a while who was really helping me said, I kept saying, why do I keep attracting this type of a man in my life? And she said, you are a bleeding seal in a sea full of sharks. And that is instinct.
Goddamn.
That shark's instinct is to go for that blood. And from a very early age, a narcissist doesn't feel. So the way in which they learn behaviors is they watch people, they watch body language, they watch how their parents interact, they watch television like it's like an educational program.
Yeah, they're quite analytical.
Exactly. And they are able to, for example, they know that when Cav is nervous, she moves her hands in this way. So even if I'm telling him or her that I'm not nervous, my behavior, they read me like a book. So they're able to see beneath the mask. They actually sometimes know you better than you know you. And the only reason is because we relate to each other through emotions, through what we feel. They look at you like you're a science project, and it's a mathematical equation. 1 + 1 = 2. And that's how they view you, which is why they know exactly which buttons to push.
So how, like, just kind of getting to the source,
Yes.
how does one become a narcissist, or what, are you born this way? Is it like nurture? Is it nature? What is it?
I mean, that's the best question. And I think it's both. There is a temperament that most babies will have, that is their own personality and character when they're born. So some babies are just a lot more chaotic than others. And that's even before they've had any human influence in their life. But actually, predominantly, it is an absence of love and affection, or too much of it. So a narcissist can be formed when they have an anxious or avoidant parent, where this child who is seeking love and affection and emotion from their parent doesn't receive it. What they essentially do is they emotionally kill themselves in order to stop feeling so much, because they can't handle it.
And they fry that.
They fry that.
Yeah.
It's finished. They're dead emotionally. And then everything they learn after that is...
Manipulation and...
I'd say they watch, they learn, they observe, they manipulate. But then you also have that parent that is at your sports day and they're like, my child is the best, yay, Instagram picture, #1 son. But then you come home and you're like, hey, mom or dad, like, I'm really struggling, like, I failed maths, and then they want nothing to do with you when you don't fit into their image of their perfect child. So it's like an overexertion of emotion. And then where it really counts emotionally, they're not there for you. So again, this child, in order to stop feeling so much emotionally, kills themselves and goes through life as a narcissist. And actually, funnily enough, the word narcissist comes from ancient mythology, where there was a dude called Narcissus. A dude.
Bro.
A bro. And he was a hot guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was really good looking. And the story of Echo, the forest nymph, and Narcissus is what essentially forms our theory on this. So Echo is cursed by the god Juno, and she's cursed with only being able to repeat the last word that someone says. So essentially an echo. You know, an echo when you speak something in a tunnel. Hey. Yeah, so she can only repeat the last word or last words that people say. She falls in, and she's beautiful, and she's got the most beautiful voice. And Venus, the goddess, is in awe of Echo. And Venus was known for being pretty fine. So Echo falls in love with Narcissus. But Narcissus rejects her when she tries to embrace him, and he says, get away from me, you're horrible. I hate you, you're disgusting. So he gives her that narcissistic injury. What happens is she becomes even more smitten by him because of this rejection. Like, she wants him even more. Narcissus gets cursed by falling in love with his own reflection in the river. He can never quite get to himself. So he tries to touch the water and it all fades away. So Narcissus withers away and dies. Echo withers away and dies. And that's what essentially happens in a narcissistic relationship, is you have the narcissist who deep down is this insecure, sad, unfulfilled child who then has an echo in their life, and this person becomes silent and a shell of themselves and withers away and dies, maybe not physically, but mentally.
I have a question. So, what did the echo find attractive in narcissists?
Narcissist. Yeah, it's a bit of a tongue twister.
Was it just his looks because he was mean to her? Or was there like some sort of foundation to that relationship? Or like
maybe it's a bit of both though, you know, treat him mean, keep him keen. Maybe there's an element of that. And also maybe because, you know, she's never been told no. We don't know Echo's
Maybe
backstory.
he was handsome.
He was very handsome.
But also Echo was very beautiful, right? So Echo might not have.
But most cases, like, I wouldn't say most cases, but a lot of times the perspective of a woman and the way she views herself is different than how the world sees her. So narcissists could look at her like, damn, you fly, and she's just like, I could barely speak.
No, but narcissists will never look at anyone as damn your fly, because narcissist only ever is looking at a reflection of themselves. So if they say that you're good looking, it's only to promote
a reflection on like
themselves.
him, like look, like him or her, like look, this is representing me, basically.
That's why.
Damn those narcissists.
Yeah, that's why they may want to date someone really hot, because it makes them look hot.
Yeah.
Or
highlights themselves.
Exactly, because everything is sort of
them.
feeding into their ego or their sense of self-worth.
And hold on, guys. We have slightly run over. This has been such a big topic, and we have been so impassioned to give you so much information. We are going to have to break this into two. Again, I hope you guys have taken a lot from this episode. We will be back with concluding this conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and download. We are on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The T4 Podcast for YouTube, and at the Take 4 Podcast for both Instagram and TikTok.
Peace out, guys.
See you next week.
See you next week.